Hello everyone, welcome back to the 1000 MCQ series of Food Safety Officer exam. So in today's discussion, we'll discuss question number from 21 to 30 taken from the nutritional biochemistry subject. And so without any further delay, let's move on to the first question of the day. So the first question is, which of the following biomolecule is not a polymer? A. Carbohydrates, B. Proteins, C. DNA, D. RNA, and E. Lipids. So you know that the biomolecule, that the biological molecule which is present in our body, they include carbohydrate, proteins, the nucleic acids, and the lipids. So these are the biomolecules present in our body. And carbohydrate is a polymer of monosaccharide. So carbohydrate is a polymer. It's a polymer of monosaccharides. Now protein is a polymer. Protein is also a polymer and it is made up of amino acids. What about nucleic acid? Is it a polymer? Yes, nucleic acid basically they consist of DNA as well as RNA. They are also polymers of nucleotides. So nucleotides combine to form the nucleic acids. So that means DNA as well as RNA is also a polymer. Okay, they are polymer of nucleotides. What about lipid? Are they polymer? No, the answer is lipid is not a polymer. Although it is made up of the small molecules like fatty acids and alcohols like glycerol, they are considered to be a small molecule. Okay, that means out of this biomolecule, carbohydrate is a polymer, protein is a polymer, nucleic acids like DNA and RNA is polymer. However, lipid is considered to be a small molecule. Although they are made up of fatty acids and alcohols like glycerol, they are not polymers. So the correct answer for this question is not a polymer. Answer is lipids. Now let's move on to the next question. Human proteins are mainly made up of A. L-alpha amino acid, B. D-alpha amino acid, C. L-beta amino acid, D. D-beta amino acid. So the first thing you need to know, proteins, we have already told they are polymers, right? Proteins are polymers of amino acids. Proteins are polymers of amino acids. Now, what kind of amino acids? So mainly there are two isomeric form. One is called as the D amino acids and the other one is called as the L amino acid. Now, in our body, proteins are mainly made up of which isomer? The L amino acids. Okay, so the most abundant isomer form of amino acid in the protein present in our human body is mainly L isomer. Okay, so L amino acids are, so that means you can tell that proteins are polymers of L amino acids. L amino acids. Now in the question there was two things, whether it's an alpha form or a beta form. So what is the correct answer? So for that you need to know the basic structure of an amino acid. You know that amino acid, the basic structure is that it contains carboxyl group. That is why it is called as an amino acid. It contains an amino group. It also contains a carboxylic acid. So you know that the functional group attached carbon. So this is the main functional group is carboxylic acid is the main functional group. And this carbon which is attached to the functional group is called as alpha carbon, right? So in this alpha carbon, you can see that an amino group is attached, right? So we can call that alpha amino acid. Alpha position, that amino group is there and the remaining is acid, right? So that is how alpha amino acid. So basically proteins are polymers of L alpha amino acids. Okay, and the most abundant isomer of abundant amino acid form will be the L isomer form, not the D. But the same question, if they ask carbohydrates, in carbs or carbohydrates, in carbohydrates, the most abundant isomer will be the D isomer. Okay. So in carbohydrates, the most abundant form will be D isomer, whereas in the amino acid, it will be the L isomer. And in amino acid, it is in the alpha form. So what is the correct answer for this question? Yes, the answer is L alpha amino acid, choice A. Human proteins are mainly made up of L alpha amino acids. Let's move on to the next question. Which of the following is an example for aliphatic amino acid? A. Valine, B. Tyrosine, C. Histidine, D. Phenylalanine, E. All of the above. So the first thing you need to know, we can classify amino acids based on the structure. So the general structure, you know that it contains a carboxyl group, it contains an amino group, there is a alpha carbon is there, this is the alpha carbon, and this R group will be attached, correct? So this is the basic structure of an amino acid, okay? RCH, COH, NH2, this is the basic structure. Now we can substitute this R with the smallest group like hydrogen, correct? So if R group is hydrogen, then that amino acid is called as glycine. Okay, so that glycine is the simplest amino acid because the hydrogen is the simplest, the smallest substitution what you can give, right? So that is why glycine is the simplest amino acid. Now after hydrogen, the next higher group will be the CH3 group. So when R is equal to CH3 group, that means methyl group, then the structure would look like this. So this amino acid is called as alanine. Now if R is equal to isopropyl group, you don't need to remember the structure of these amino acids, just remember the name of the group. Okay, so if R is isopropyl, the structure would look like this. Okay, so this amino acid is called as valine. Okay, so in valine, the R group is isopropyl group. Now, if R is equal to isobutyl group, the structure would look like this, correct? Instead of R, they have attached isobutyl. So if R is equal to isobutyl, the name of the amino acid is leucine. Now, instead of R, if they attach a secondary butyl group, the structure would look like this, and it is an isomer of leucine, so that is why it is called as isoleucine. Now you look at all these 5 amino acids: lysine, alanine, valine, leucine, isoleucine. We have substituted R with an aliphatic side chain, so they are called as aliphatic amino acids. So the example for aliphatic amino acid, you can remember with this mnemonic GAVLI, GAVLI. Okay, GAVLI, glycine, alanine, valine, leucine, isoleucine. They are examples for aliphatic amino acids. Okay, now let's move on to the second class of amino acid based on the chemistry. Now, if you look at this structure, instead of R, they have attached a CH2OH group. Okay, instead of R, they have attached a CH2OH group. That means it contains one more additional functional group, that is hydroxyl group. So normally amino acid have amino group as well as the carboxyl group. Now, apart from that, if it contains hydroxy group, we can call it as hydroxy amino acid. So if it contains an additional functional group like hydroxy OH group, hydroxy means OH group. Okay, that amino acid is called as hydroxy amino acid. And the two examples is serine and threonine. So serine and threonine are examples for hydroxy amino acid. You don't need to remember the structure, just remember the name. Now, if this R group contain CH2SH, that means sulfur containing group. Okay, so if an amino acid contains a sulfur functional group, sulfur containing functional group, they are called as sulfur amino acids. So, or sulfur containing amino acid. And the two example you need to remember is one is cystine and methionine. So cystine also contains this sulfur group. You can see that instead of R, CH2SH. Now here also in methionine also you can see that R is equal to CH2, CH2S, CH3. That means it also contains sulfur. So both cystine and methionine are examples for which kind of amino acid? Sulfur amino acids. Okay. Now, apart from the normal carboxyl group and amino group, if an amino acid contains an extra carboxyl group, okay, so normally you know that every amino acid has one carboxyl group and one amino group. If it contains one extra carboxyl group, what you will call? You will call it as acidic amino acid, because carboxyl group is an acidic group. So that kind of amino acid is called as acidic amino acid. So acidic amino acid means it contains an additional carboxyl groups. Okay. So the example for acidic amino acid, the example is aspartic acid and glutamic acid. So acidic amino acid, two example you need to remember: aspartic acid and glutamic acid. Now, the amide form of this acidic amino acid, okay, amide form of this acidic amino acid, we can include it in the amide form of carboxyl group. Okay, so instead of this carboxyl group, they have converted it into amide form. Amide form means CONH2 form. Okay, so if in aspartic, you look at the structure of aspartic acid, R is CH2COH, right? So instead of this COH group, if they convert it into CONH2 group, that is the amide form of aspartic acid, and the amide form of aspartic acid is called as aspargine. Similarly, the amide form of glutamic acid is called as glutamic. So the amide form of carboxylic acidic amino acid is there are two examples you need to remember: aspargine and glutamic. They are examples for the amide form of acidic amino acids. Amide form of acidic amino acids. Okay, aspargine and glutamic. Okay, aspargine is the amide form of aspartic acid, and glutamin is the amide form of glutamic acid. Now, if normally you know that every amino acid has a carboxyl group and an NH2 group, right? Now, if it contains an additional amino group, what you will call? Amino group is considered to be a basic group. So if an additional amino group is present in an amino acid, you can call it as basic amino acids. Okay. So basic amino acid means it contains an additional amino group. Apart from the normal carboxyl group and the normal amino group, it contains an additional amino group. And the two examples you need to remember is lysine and arginine. Okay. So in lysine, the R group contains 4 carbon followed by an extra NH2 group. In arginine, the R group will be 3 carbon followed by this particular functional group. And this functional group is called as guanidine. Guanidine. Guanidine means NHC double bond NH, NH2. Okay, so you don't need to remember the structure. Just remember in arginine, the special group present is guanidine. Okay, guanidine is the special group present in arginine, and lysine and arginine both are example for which amino acid? Basic amino acid. Okay. Now, in certain amino acid, you can see benzene rings. Okay, benzene rings. So whenever benzene is present, we can call it as aromatic ring, right? Because benzene is an aromatic ring. So these amino acids are called as aromatic amino acids. Okay. So examples for aromatic amino acid, you need to remember two examples. One is phenylalanine and tyrosine. Okay. In phenylalanine, R will be CH2 and a benzene ring. Whereas tyrosine means In the phenylalanine, the same structure of phenylalanine, you put a hydroxyl group at the para position, then it will become tyrosine. So tyrosine is basically para hydroxy phenylalanine. So in phenylalanine, if you attach a hydroxyl group at the para position, then it will become tyrosine. So that is why tyrosine can be called as para hydroxy phenylalanine. And these are examples for both phenylalanine and tyrosine are examples for aromatic amino acids. Now, in some of the amino acid, there will be a heterocyclic ring will be there. Okay, heterocyclic means it will contain either carbon, nitrogen, or oxygen. Apart from carbon and hydrogen, it will contain either nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur, or halogens. Okay, so if other than carbon and hydrogen, if a ring contains nitrogen, oxygen, or sulfur or halogen, they can be called as heterocyclic atoms. Okay, so such amino acid which contains this heterocyclic ring is called as heterocyclic amino acid, and the two example you need to remember is histidine and tryptophan. Now we look at this histidine, it contains nitrogen, right? Here in the cyclic ring there is a nitrogen. Here this ring is also containing, in tryptophan also there is a nitrogen. Okay, so that is the point you need to remember. And what is this ring called as? In histidine, the heterocyclic ring, the name of the heterocyclic ring is imidazole. You don't need to remember the structure. However, you can remember the name. So in histidine, the heterocyclic ring is imidazole, whereas in tryptophan, this ring is called as indole. Okay, so both histidine and tryptophan are examples for heterocyclic amino acid, and the heterocyclic ring present in histidine is called as imidazole. The heterocyclic ring present in tryptophan is called as indole. Okay. Now, if you look at this particular structure, in all the previous structure, we have written NH2 group, right? NH2. So NH2 was a free group, free amino group. Now here, there are one amino acid is there with the NH group. That means secondary amine group. Okay, so that amino acid with the secondary amine group is called as amino acid. Amino acid. Okay, not amino acid, it is amino acid. Okay, and the example for this amino acid is proline. Proline is an example for amino acid. Okay, so basically they belong to amino acid only, but since it contains a double bond NH group or secondary amine group, they are called as amino acid. Okay, so these are the examples you need to remember based on the classification of amino acid based on the chemistry. Okay, so we'll summarize that. So I have told about we have aliphatic amino acid. You can remember the mnemonic GAVLI, glycine, alanine, valine, leucine, isoleucine. What was the example for hydroxyl amino acid? Serine and threonine. Serine and threonine are hydroxyl amino acid. What about sulfur amino acid? Cystine and methionine. They are the examples for sulfur containing amino acid. What about acidic amino acid? Two examples we have studied, aspartic acid and glutamic acid. We have also told about the amide form of aspartic acid and glutamic acid. Aspartic acid, the amide form is aspargine, and for glutamic acid, the amide form is glutamine. Now, we have also explained about the basic amino acid. Two examples you need to remember, lysine and arginine. Aromatic amino acid, mainly we studied two examples, phenylalanine and tyrosine. Tryptophan can also be considered as an aromatic amino acid. Tryptophan. We have studied tryptophan in heterocyclic, but it can also be an example for aromatic amino acid. Now, coming to heterocyclic amino acid, the two examples we studied is histidine and the tryptophan. And amino acid, we have studied proline. Okay, so this is a summary of the classification of amino acid based on its chemistry. Now, coming back to our question. The question was, which of the following is an example for aliphatic amino acid? Whenever you hear the aliphatic, remember this mnemonic GAVLI, GAVLI. So the right answer for this question will be valid. A choice. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. Which of the following is a sulfur containing amino acid? Already we have discussed, we have told the sulfur containing amino acid cystine and methionine. So the correct answer for this question is D choice, methionine. Coming to the next question, which of the following is an essential amino acid? So far we have classified amino acid based on the chemistry. Now we can also classify amino acid based on the nutrition. Okay, so here the question is, which of the following is an essential amino acid? Okay, so based on nutrition, we can classify amino acid in two categories, that is essential amino acid and non-essential amino acid. Essential amino acid means our body cannot synthesize this amino acid. Our body cannot synthesize this amino acid. That means we have to take it through the diet. We have to take it through the food. Okay, so that is the meaning of essential amino acid. Okay, it is very much essential to our body because our body is not synthesizing that amino acid. Okay, that is why it is called as essential amino acid. Therefore, it has to be taken through the diet or food. Okay, now essential amino acid is also called as indispensable amino acid. We cannot avoid it. We have to take it through the food. That is the meaning of indispensable amino acid. Okay, so essential amino acid means our body cannot synthesize, therefore we need to take it through the diet. So what will be the meaning of non-essential? So non-essential amino acid means our body will synthesize that amino acid. That means you no need to take it through the food or diet. It is not necessary. You need to take it through the food because your body is already synthesizing that amino acid. Therefore, non-essential amino acid is also called as dispensable amino acid. Okay, so that is a primary difference between essential and non-essential. Okay, now you need to remember the examples coming under essential amino acid category. That means those amino acid which have to be taken through the diet. You can remember this mnemonic: private, Tim, Hall. So these are the examples for essential amino acid. Okay, PVT, Tim, Hall. P stands for phenylalanine. V stands for valine. T stands for threonine. The second T stands for tryptophan. I stands for isoleucine. M stands for methionine. H stands for histidine. A stands for arginine. L and the second L stands for lysine and leucine respectively. Okay, so this is the thing you need to remember, the examples for essential amino acid. Okay, so far in the classification of amino acid we have discussed mainly 20 amino acid. Okay, in the chemistry classification we have discussed 20 amino acid, and what was the specialty of these 20 amino acid? They are regularly found in the proteins, so therefore they are called as standard amino acids. So all the 20 amino acid what we have studied so far, they are regularly seen in the proteins. Okay, so that is why they are called as standard amino acids. Okay, now among the standard amino acid, this 10 amino acid, they are not synthesized by our body, so you have to take it through the diet. So just remember the examples for essential amino acid, and all the remaining amino acid out of 20, all the remaining amino acids belong to non-essentials category. So you just need to remember only one thing, and whatever amino acid is not coming under essential, it will be definitely in the non-essential amino acid category. Okay, so remember only the essential, the rest is non-essential. Okay, so in coming back to our question, which of the following is an essential amino acid? You need to write this mnemonic: private, Tim, Hall. Okay, so which of the following is an essential amino acid? So you know that lysine is that L stands for lysine and the second L for leucine. So the correct answer for this question is D choice. Alanine is non-essential, tyrosine is non-essential, glycine is non-essential. So the correct answer is D choice. Let's move on to the next question of the day. Which of the following is a example for bitter amino acid? So based on the taste, we can categorize amino acid into sweet amino acid, bitter amino acid. Also, some amino acids are tasteless amino acids. Okay, so glycine, alanine, valine, leucine, isoleucine. What was the specialty of these 5 amino acids? They are aliphatic amino acids. Now, this glycine, alanine, valine, they are examples for sweet amino acids. Okay, they are examples for sweet amino acid. Whereas leucine is an example for tasteless amino acid. Whereas isoleucine and arginine, they are examples for bitter amino acids. Okay, so you can remember the classification based on the sweetness also. So this is the classification: sweet amino acid, this is the first one; tasteless amino acid, second one; and the third one is the bitter amino acid. Okay, so here the question was bitter amino acid, so the correct answer for this question will be isoleucine, E choice. Let's move on to the next question. The amino acid present in Ajinomoto. So the first thing you need to know, Ajinomoto is chemically monosodium glutamate. Monosodium glutamate. So Ajinomoto is chemically monosodium glutamate. You know that this is mainly used in Chinese restaurants to increase the taste. So it is found to be carcinogenic also. So it should be avoided in adding to the food and all that. And basically, it is chemically monosodium glutamate, or abbreviated as MSG. MSG. Okay, so if you carefully look at the name, you can see one amino acid is present here. Which is that amino acid? Yes, glutamate. That means glutamic acid. So amino acid present in Ajinomoto will be definitely B choice, glutamic acid. And Ajinomoto is chemically, at this point also you need to remember, it is chemically MSG, monosodium glutamate. Now let's move on to the next question. Which standard amino acid is optically inactive? Which standard amino acid is optically inactive? So mainly I told you there are mainly 20 standard amino acids. That means they are regularly seen in the proteins. Okay. Now all these 20 amino acids are optically active. They are all optically active except glycine. Glycine is optically inactive. Glycine is optically inactive because the reason is that do not have the chiral carbon. Whereas all amino acid, the rest of all the amino acid you take it have chiral carbon. So remaining all amino acids are optically active except glycine. That means alanine is optically active, valine is optically, leucine is optically, aspartic acid, and the amino acid which is not optically active or optically inactive, the answer is glycine. Whereas all these amino acids, they are optically active. Why they are optically active? They contain chiral carbon. whereas glycine do not contain chiral carbon. So what is the correct answer for this question? Glycine. Choice A. Let's move on to the next question. Which of the following statement is false about amino acid? A choice. That the question is which sentence is wrong? False. A choice. All amino acids are optically active except glycine. Is it true or false? We have already told that all amino acids are optically active except glycine. So that means this is true. Now the second choice, amino acids are considered as ampholyte. Now what do you mean by ampholyte? So I told you the basic structure of amino acid is that it contains a carboxyl group and an amino group. So carboxyl group is an acidic group and amino group is a basic group. Okay, so since it is an acidic, since an acidic and a basic group are present in single compound, so amino acid can be considered as an amphi group. That means both acidic and basic group. So they are considered as an ampholyte since both acidic and basic group is present. So the second sentence, amino acid are considered as ampholyte, that is also a true. Now coming to the statement C, selenocystine is considered to be the 21st standard amino acid. So I told you normally 20 amino acids are standard. Recently we have 21st amino acid as well as 22nd standard amino acid. 21st amino acid is selenocystine, and the 22nd amino acid is called as pyrrolysine. Okay, so these two examples also you can remember apart from the 20 amino acid. Selenocystine is the 21st amino acid and pyrrolysine is the 22nd amino acid. That means selenocystine considered to be 21st amino acid. That is also true sentence. Now, the D choice, amino acid exist as Switter ions. So although amino acid, the basic structure is R, CH, COH and NH2, whenever it is put in solution, it exists as ionic form. That means carboxyl group will exist as COO minus and NH2 will exist as NH3 plus. That means it contains an anionic group as well as cationic group. This is called as dipolar groups are present or switcher ion group is present. So since amino acid contains both the anionic part and the cationic part, they are called as dipolar ion or switcher ion or hybrid ions. Okay, so that means amino acid contains CO minus group, that is the negatively charged group, as well as the positively charged NH3 plus. So that means amino acid can be considered as a switcher ions. That means this sentence is also true. So definitely the answer for this question, all the sentences A to D, they are true. So there is no false sentence here. So the correct choice will be definitely none of the above. Okay, the choice is E. Now let's move on to the next question. The special group present in cystine. Okay, the spelling is very important. Earlier we have studied about cystine. Cystine was the amino acid, sulfur containing amino acid. Now what is the spelling given here? Cystine. There is no E. This particular E is not there. So that means it's a different compound. Okay, so which is the special group present in cystine? Thiol, thioether, disulfide, all of the above. So the first thing you need to remember, cystine, this is the amino acid we told, it contains sulfur group, right? So instead of R, this contains CH2SH group. That is cystine, sulfur containing hydrogen. So the group present is SH. SH means thiol group. So thiol group means SH, or you can call it as sulfhydryl group. Sulfhydryl group. So SH is called as thiol or sulfhydryl, or you can call it as mercapto group. So these three names you can remember: thiol, sulfhydryl, or mercapto. So that is present in which amino acid? Cystine. Now, if you look at this methionine, that also contains sulfur, but sulfur is present like CH2, CH2, SCH3. So it is a kind of thioether. So in methionine, sulfur exists as the thioether. That means RSR, right? You know that normally ROR is considered to be ether, right? So in ether, if you replace oxygen with the sulfur, you can call it as thioether. And in methionine, the special group present is thioether. Now, what is cystine? There is only the difference is that in cystine there is no E. So cystine is nothing but cystine plus cystine. That means two molecules of cystine combined to form cystine. So you look at this part, this much part is one cystine, right? This much part is the second cystine. So they combined to form SS bond. Okay, they combine two cystine molecule combined to form a SS bond. What do you mean by if two sulfur is present? What you can call it as disulfide linkage or disulfide bond. So cystine is nothing but two molecules of cystine and they are connected by a disulfide bond. Now we'll come back to our question. The special group present in cystine. Thiol is present in cystine. Thioether is present in methionine, whereas disulfide is present in cystine. So what is the correct answer? C choice, disulfide. Okay. So hope you understood all the 10 questions discussed today. Keep on watching. Thank you so much.